What's good, my beautiful people? It is your girl Katie, and welcome back to another episode of the Uncovered Podcast, the podcast you're obsessed with. It is episode 17. So thank you for tuning in with me today. If you have not checked out my most recent episode 16, Next Lifetime, you gotta go check that out. I can honestly say it's my most favorite episode so far. It is pretty dope. And I want you to let me know, what do you think about it? Do you agree what we're talking about? And let me know, what does the title mean to you? Like, next lifetime. What does that even mean? But just diving right in, right? I was recently watching the movie King Richard. And it took me a while to watch it because I kind of just heard mixed reviews about it. I wasn't really pressed to watch it. Haven't just sat down to take the time. So I finally just was like, hey, let me just go ahead and watch it and see what it's talking about. Bro, when I say such a good movie, I've really been encouraging everybody I come in contact with at this point to watch it. I've been promoting the hell out of that movie because I think it's such a great representation of a lot of what we're lacking. Specifically talking about how in the movie there is so much, there is such a lack of adults, especially parents, but adults who do not instill overt or evident confidence into our youth, our children. I love how he literally taught them to believe that they could do anything. Like, actually believe it, not just say it and not just put it out there just for the hell of it, but actually instill that in them to the point where it's like, I know that I can win. I know that I'm better than them. I know that I'm good enough. I know it. And to see on the movie, which is also a representation of real life, how people will constantly try to attack your confidence or attack your character or your abilities. And it's so interesting to think of it in that perspective where it's such a lack of instilling that type of confidence. Because the thing is, we have to teach this to our children, right? We have to teach them the difference between confidence and caution. There is a such thing as making yourself aware of possibilities, things that can go wrong, preparing for the worst but expecting the best. All of those sayings are sayings for a reason. But to actually be intentional with instilling and teaching children from a young age to grown and being adult, that if they actually put their heart, mind, and soul into something and they work hard at it, then they can literally believe that they are the best. Even if there is somebody who's already been proclaimed to be the best, or even if it already is somebody who's already been identified as this winner or this beholding this title, right? It's like, that's fine, but you ain't played me yet. That's fine, but you ain't came across me. And I just love that, because it's not even about being cocky. It's about that self-assurance that we all need in order to continue to progress and move forward. It's why we always second guess ourselves and question ourselves on our abilities, and if we are able to fulfill certain obligations, or if we have the capacity to make certain moves, because we're taught from birth to question everything, which is good. I agree that we should question a lot of things so that we can understand, but to call into question your own character, your own abilities, especially when you know you've been putting in the work. Now, the problem is, a lot of times we don't be putting in the work, so therefore we feel unprepared or not fully mentally strong to handle the pressures that come with being the best or putting yourself out there, right? Because there's anxiety and there's other people's opinions. See, the problem is other people's opinions are what causes us to not have self-assurance, because when we're young, and it also kind of ties into this book that I'm reading right now, which is called The Four Agreements. It talks about how when we're young, we're so innocent. And we have such a curiosity of the world because we have no sense of danger. We have no sense of boundaries. We have no sense of safe and unsafe. So we just explore. We just, touch things until we realize it's hot. Don't do that. We, put things in our mouth as babies, right? I have a little niece, puts everything in her mouth. I mean, ketchup packets, hangers. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? But the curiosity of understanding, okay, what is this? Can I eat this? Can this harm me? What should I do with it? It's a beautiful thing to be able to watch children in their unfiltered reality, where they are just exploring and trying to understand what this world is. And because we teach them no, we teach them stop, we teach them because I said so, we teach them what did I say, we teach them no, you can't do that, we teach them well, ain't nobody ever did that, or what makes you think you can do that. Like, these are things that end up being taught to children because why? We weren't taught these things when we were younger. We had nobody to instill this type of belief in us, or we had everybody calling us into questioning our abilities, making us unsure about ourselves, not instilling that strength, that perseverance, that consistency. That is such a huge lack. And so I just really respect and love the movie because to me, it really speaks to not only a parent instilling this into their children, but a father instilling this type of confidence and self-assurance into young women who now are the number one people in their sports arena. That is wild to believe it, And even also in this book that I've been reading, it talks about how you have to be impeccable with your word. Our words are magic. We speak things into existence. We manifest things with our words, which ultimately stems from our mind, right? Our ability to think, our mental capacity, our thoughts, the things that make us wonder. It comes from our mind. And if we first think it and then we speak it, and it's not positive, it's negative, or it's pessimistic, we're going to tend to follow that because those are the words that we're speaking. We're speaking that over our life. Man, that shit is just so good, man. That movie is just so good. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely encourage you to watch it and just have an open mind and look at it for yourself and examine and try to understand it through your own eyes and your own perspective, because it really touched me. It definitely did. Let me see what's next. Oh, so in relation to that, it's wild because I was actually doing some research and I was listening to Draymond Green's podcast that he has, and he was talking about one of the other NBA players, Jordan Poole, and how he has irrational confidence. And what he meant by that is that Jordan being on what is it called? Don't laugh at me, but him being on the court. Him being on the court with like a Stephon Curry or somebody else he was talking about, but him taking the initiative, the drive, and the audacity to be like, okay, I'm about to make this shot. I'm about to shoot this. I'm about to take this from this opponent. Being the one to go for it and not necessarily just call the shots, but to step in his own confidence, where it's not like, I'm not trying to step on your toes, but I'm trying to step out. I'm trying to do me. Like, if you have to tone down who you are, that takes away from your ability to shine. That takes away from your ability to excel and be excellent and be significant. And I know I've done that for a long time. It's just kind of toned myself down in a sense of, you know, who I am in regards to this podcast or things that I want to wear. Like, I'll be like, no, I probably shouldn't wear this because this probably is not going to be the best place to wear it to. But it's like, fuck that. Why not wear it? Why not do this thing? Why not be yourself? Because all I can do is be me. I'm the only one who can be me as best as I can be me. Why should I even try to tone myself down in any capacity? Why should I dim my light? You know, because it's just like a candle. Like, me lighting somebody else's candle is not going to take away from my own light. And so I just bring up that whole spiel about Draymond saying that about Jordan Poole. So they appear to have it all together. And the funny thing about it is people who try to put on a facade to make you believe that they have it all together when really they just batshit crazy like the rest of us, or trying to figure it out like the rest of us, which we all are trying to figure it out. But people who have to put on the facade because they're not being their genuine selves, they are struggling. They be envious. And they be hating, you know. And that's just like how our culture tries to keep certain information from, you know, you, because, they don't want you to be able to have a leg up, or they don't want to teach you. They don't want to, you know, lend a helping hand. And it's so many people who are. And that's how you get your blessings. That's how you know you're walking in your purpose and you're stepping into gratitude and just having an open heart and an open mind to receive and be a blessing to others, because it doesn't take anything from you to be able to help somebody else do what can also be their purpose, you know? And just going back to the whole youth thing that I was mentioning, the thing is that we get domesticated when we're young. When I was talking about like how we're taught no, we're taught stop, we're taught boundaries, we're taught whatever your house rules are that govern you and force you to grow up a certain way and experience life the way that you do. It's like, like animals can't talk. Animals aren't taught how to be themselves, right? Unless they get placed in a zoo. Unless they become a pet, then they are pretty much brought up under certain guidance in order to learn how to behave themselves and how to conduct themselves and not be wild, because they're not in a wild environment. They're in a tamed, nice environment. So we domesticate animals, but we as humans also get domesticated in a way, because we find ourselves placing our own limitations on ourselves because of the things that we're taught. And sometimes it's things that we don't even realize that has impacted us and affected us so negatively. Damn, it's like my water bottle just keep on popping like it got so much air in it. Like, calm down. I just want us to I just can't wait to instill all this confidence into my niece and nephews. It just opens up my mind to the power of your words, to be impeccable with your words, to keep your word, to speak highly of yourself, not in a boastful way and not in a braggadocious way, but in a high self-esteem way where respectfully, I'm going to win. Respectfully, I'm going to beat you. And we can laugh about it and we can have a good time. And guess what? I'm going to give you some pointers if you need it. I'm going to, help you out along the way. Like, we can ride this thing up to the top together. But if I'm better than you, I'm better than you. And that's just kind of what it comes down to in a sense. And that's how people excel and move forward. And I realized that even in my job, with my podcast, just moving forward anyway and not worrying about what could go wrong. Like, okay, this is my best. If I give my best at all times and try not to take things personal, because, that should be hard. Then knowing that you're doing your best is all the shit. That's all we can ask for. That's all I can ask for from somebody. Do your fucking best. If it ain't your best, what the fuck is the point? I'm just saying. Now, moving into a little bit of different topic, I was having a conversation with my cousin, and she was talking about how she was having a conversation with one of her friends about dating while depressed. Now, I just believe that there are certain emotions and instances in our lives where we have to heal from hurt, pain, or trauma that has caused us, especially to fall in any type of state of depression, before we place that type of weight on other people. Now, I totally agree that there are people who can come into your life who can pull you out of those things and help you through those things and give you a different perspective on life, help you to open up your eyes to different multitude of things that you wouldn't able to imagine without them giving you that. But it's so many times where we just don't do the work and we don't take the time to heal within ourselves alone, because we're always seeking to have someone next to them, have someone console you, have someone, tell you that it's going to be all right, which is what we all desire. I would like to believe. I mean, I know I desire that. I want somebody to console me. I want somebody to speak affirmations to me. That's one of my love languages. Like, tell me that you love me. Tell me that I'm doing great. That's one thing that kind of lacks in my motivation, I guess, and inspiration, is that I don't really hear that often. But that's okay, because guess what? I'm going to motivate myself and I'm going to keep pushing forward anyways, even if I don't receive that. But it helps, right? But when it comes to dating and having like this strong emotional depression, it has to be a healthy boundary and a healthy acceptance of where your emotions are, in order to place yourself in positions to be vulnerable with people, to even expose this type of truth to them, and then for them to be willing to like see you through it and kind of guide you through it in a way, and for you to be accepting of that. Because I know that I've experienced depression in a sense, like when my brother passed away, when other family members have passed away. It definitely struck a nerve, because I've never had someone that close to me pass away, and it was definitely mind-blowing. It was a lot of different emotions, and to experience that is to not even be able to put it into words. But I like to believe that I have a very healthy relationship within myself as far as my emotions go, and my ability to have discernment and acknowledge that I was going through that. And when I was going through that period of time, I didn't want to talk to nobody. But that's usually how it goes, right? Like, if you're in that type of mood and emotions, you don't really want to talk to people. But there are people, I guess, who do. They want to date and they want to be out and about to kind of get their mind off of that. But deep down, they're still in that. And it's a part of life. It's a part of the reality of understanding that we can't always control how we feel about something. but we can control how we react to it and how we maneuver and move forward. And it kind of goes back to one of my episodes. I can't remember which episode it was, but it was when I was talking about the was it Chelsea or Chesley? I think it was Chelsea Christ or Christ, the beautiful young lady who committed suicide and jumped off the building. It was a point that I was making where a lot of times we put on masks to detour people from being interested in what's going on with us if we're not ready to share that with the world yet. If it's something that we may be embarrassed about or feel that we're kind of suffering in silence, then we put on a mask to avoid people from even wanting to ask. It's like, okay, well, let me just, put on the smile, right? Because I'm strong and I need them, whoever is around me, to know like I'm happy, or at least to believe that I'm happy. And then as soon as I get to the crib, then it's just like this heavy weight and burden on my heart because of something that I'm dealing with, and I'm not comfortable enough to communicate that or talk about it with somebody else. And that's a heavy and very hard place to be in. And sometimes people succumb to those emotions and take their life because they don't know how to handle it, or they don't feel that they have it out. And that's such a sad place to be in, and such an unfortunate type of reality. But it just comes back into play when we talk about mask and being a certain way because of how people will perceive you or judge you. Because we are so judgmental. And that's another reason why we're so domesticated and why we have such extreme caution about paying attention to each other's perspectives and opinions, because we're so judgmental. And because we judge ourselves, because we are insecure within ourselves, because we barely love ourselves, we project that shit onto everybody else, even the people that we love. And I think I seen a post today on Facebook. It was saying like, if somebody really loves you, they're not going to ask you to sacrifice your own happiness for theirs. And so since they don't have that ability to even think about it or be conscious enough to identify that they are actually asking you to place them above your needs, those type of people come back over and over and over, and they're everywhere. They really are. And it just gets draining being around people like that. People who literally expect you to always be there for them, especially being like an emotional support, but they cannot be that for you. And that's another question that I have, and that's also a question that I posed on one of my Facebook pages. Well, not one of them. On my Facebook, I asked, what kind of person does it make you, or what type of person does it make you if you can accept doing something for someone who cannot or may not or will not do that same thing for you? What kind of person does it make you? Does it make you like Christ? Like Jesus? Because I'll be the first one to say, I am not Jesus Christ. I have so much to work toward. I'm a work in progress. Love him to death. And I am striving to be more like him. But when I think about being able to do for somebody and accept doing for them over and over, or whatever the situation is, knowing that they may not be able to do it for me, or knowing that they cannot do it for me, it's like, yeah, it makes you a great person. Yes, it makes you understanding. Yes, it makes you what's the word I'm looking for? It makes you a quality person to be able to do that for someone. But it also causes you to get burnt out. It also causes you to feel taken advantage of. It also causes you to have resentment. Relationships, friendships, connections, all of the above have to be mutual. They have to be beneficial to each other. And if it's not, at some point, somebody going to get let down, and then somebody has to get cut off. Because nobody deserves to keep being taken advantage of. And although I know Christ was able to be a representation that we do have the ability to do that and just keep turning the other cheek and all that good stuff. But again, I'm not God. I'm not Jesus. And I continue to pray for me and the world, because we all need prayer, because we're just clowns and it's wild out here. But it just makes me pause and wonder if when you do things for people and you're willing to be there for someone, how they're not able to unselfishly realize that you do compromise, certain things to be there for them, or you do sacrifice, or you do go out of your way to make yourself available or present for them. But then when the shoe is on the other foot, there is not even a thought. Like, they just so coincidentally forget. And that's why our circles get so much smaller. That's why we learn who we can depend on and who we can't. Because if you're not dependable, what use do you have in people's life? Seriously. If you're not bringing anything positive, fruitful, engaging, significant, you don't really have anything to really prosper in people's lives. You're just a fucking anchor. Like, you're weighing people down, you holding people down, you trying to sabotage them in a sense. I think if we be more intentional, we think about how we treat ourselves, and we get to understand ourselves and get to know who we are and why we do the things that we do, then we can be better people toward people. We can stop placing our insecurities onto other people and trying to suggest that they can't do a certain thing, or they can't be a certain thing, or they won't accomplish a certain thing because we can't see that for them or see it for ourselves. So that is all I have for today. Thank you again for tuning in to the Uncovered Podcast. Make sure that you tap in and you are subscribed to the Uncovered YouTube channel, all the social medias. Tap in with me on Instagram, _CoverGirl with a K, of course. And, more fire episodes coming, creative content coming. I'm just in my creative bag right now, and I wanted to make sure I got an episode out to y'all because it's been a little minute, but I'm back and I'm better. I know you missed me. I missed y'all too. But I hope that you feeling good, looking good, smelling good, and enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time.